Hey everybody, Ramblin, Pam and Bob here. We are in Skagway, Alaska this morning. Today we'll be taking an excursion on the historic White Pass Yukon Railroad. We boarded the train right by the dock. We took the afternoon ride because we had heard that a lot of times it's foggy in the morning. It sure didn't disappoint. We had beautiful weather. I would suggest sitting on the left side of the train on the way up because the guides will be pointing out different landmarks, etc., and most of the important scenery will be on your left. Built in 1898 as a way to expedite travel during the Klondike Gold Rush, the White Pass and Yukon Railroad is a 3-foot wide, narrow gauge railroad that climbs from sea level to almost 3,000 feet in the first 20 miles. An engineering marvel, it features 2 tunnels and travels over sky-high trestles and bridges. Considered an impossible feat, the railway was completed in 26 months by blasting through the mountains with 450 tons of explosives. The 110-mile railroad was officially completed when a final golden spike was hammered into place on July 29, 1900 in Carcross, Yukon.
We are currently traveling through the Tongass National Rainforest. This is the largest temperate rainforest in all of North America. At about 17 million acres big, spanning across much of southeast Alaska. It's actually roughly the size of West Virginia. Now we're not actually at the border yet. If you look at your maps, that's still 12 miles north from us. Due to the extreme winter and weather conditions up at the border, that's located at the summit where we're going today. They built the U.S. Customs House here, and Canadian Customs built their house 7 miles north of the border itself, so everything as we move from here on out is no man's land. Some of you may begin to notice, painted on that smooth rock face below the building are the letters painted in big white onto Alaska with Buchanan. And this is a tribute to George Buchanan, who was a wealthy philanthropist during the 1920s and 30s. We are now, though, coming up to the grave of 2 poor workers who were crushed under a 500-ton boulder one day in a blast as they were blasting out the rocks to build the railway. These 2 were named Algernon and Maurice Dunn, and we can actually still see that rock that killed them this day. So sharply down on your left side, keep an eye out through a clearing in the trees for a black cross that they placed on top of that huge rock to stand as their grave. Again, it's coming up sharply down in the left. Find that black cross and look beneath it to see that huge flat triangular piece of ground that fell on top of those 2 workers back in 1898. We still call it Black Cross Rock.
Looks like some of those planks falling off.
Standing 215 feet from the valley floor and spanning over 800 feet across this chasm. This bridge is one of the many reasons that our entire railroad has the title International Historic Civil Engineering Landmark. That's a title we proudly share with the Eiffel Tower, the Panama Canal, and the Statue of Liberty.
This is a view of Dead Horse Gulch. It's named after the estimated 3,000 pack animals who died here due to starvation, abuse, and exhaustion on the way to the gold fields. Back then, it was cheaper to replace the pack animals than it was to feed and care for them. We're going over another trestle and soon we'll be entering the tunnel. At mile 17, we passed by Inspiration Point. This overlook was once a vantage point for stampeders. This is the old 98 trail. It's the original trail that miners used to get to the summit. The Canadian government required the miners to carry 1 ton of goods each, enough to last a year. So the miners had to make as many trips as necessary to carry their goods into Canada to get to the gold fields.
And standing in front of that cabin, you'll see all the flags of the countries, states, and territories the train runs through. So you'll see the flag of the United States, Alaska, British Columbia, the Yukon Territory, and Canada.
We're now on our way back to Skagway. The train does occasionally drop off and pick up passengers out here. At mile 14, we pass a marker that says Glacier, previously Glacier Station. The station used to serve as home to a railroad section crew. This beautiful little caboose is tucked away in the forest. You can rent it for $65 a night.
In just a few moments, we'll be passing by Skagway's Gold Rush Cemetery. So this is actually where a lot of the early Skagway residents are buried during the Gold Rush era. It was used from 1897 until 1908. Then it was designated a historical site. There are over 170 marked graves in this cemetery.
Our trip ended up being about 3 hours. That'll be it for us today.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that like button.
If you feel that life is passing you by, if each day that follows is one and the same, if all you need is someone to take the time, don't go looking, babe, here I am. No need looking, babe, here I am.